Hello everyone, and welcome to another garage video. I've got some great news for your viewing pleasure. But first of all, Oulton Park was the last race. Last year, you'll see in my previous videos, didn't go according to plan, mashed my engine to pieces, the back was all cracked from an incident. So I was hoping it'd be a bit better this year, and it really was. Car ran beautifully, managed to get sort of fourth overall, but one of those was an invitation, so I actually managed to get my first sort of podium finish in 10 years of racing, so pretty chuffed with that. Moving back to what we're doing today, I started getting a vibration sort of 3/4 of the way through the race, possibly brakes, bearings, something like that. It was a little bit more than that actually. So the good news for you, I suppose, is that for the first time this year, I've actually managed to break something. So I've got something to actually video. So the rumbling was coming from the rear. And so doing my normal sort of spanner checks, things like that, I came across this. You can see and then your torch runs out, so I can't show you. Get my phone. Okay, you'll see that there, this is actually a mounting for the diff. So you've got the big poly bushes coming through and it's ripped itself off the chassis. That would probably explain some of the knocking. Luckily it's fairly easy to get to, so I'm gonna have to drop the exhaust off. I'm gonna try and keep the diff in position because it gives me a bit of a points that I know I can actually sort of connect to afterwards. So this video is going to be about me trying to fix that, ready for the last race of the season for the Silverstone finals. Unfortunately I missed Croft because I was on holiday. I suppose it's the best of a bad situation. So here we go. Okay, so first job I'm going to do is actually take the mounting plate off the diff because it actually looks like it's bent a little bit. So I'll just unbolt that from there and can get it out then and have a quick look, see what it's like. So I've got the piece out, as you can see there. It's really quite bent, so I'm just going to flatten that out again, and luckily the way that this is snapped, it snaps right on the weld all the way around, so luckily the chassis leg hasn't taken too much of a beating either. So I'm just going to clean this up, get it ready for sort of welding, but it actually slots back in a nice position, so I can clean that up, clean up the chassis part, and see where we go from there. So I managed to do a fairly decent job of cleaning it up. I don't know if you'll be able to see in this light from the rear. So I've just cleaned up around the actual chassis point, and I've also, on the actual bit that snapped off, I've decided to keep the little bits of weld there because it's acting like a key actually, because it's a bad weld I think from factory, because it's hardly, it doesn't look like the weld really touched half of it, so no wonder it's pulled off. But I've left the rest of the weld on, so it acts as a bit of a key, so that'll actually slot in exactly where it was before, which is good. And then I'll just get a really decent weld all the way around now. The garage next door to me, kind enough to lend me this gasless welder. Not used gasless before. The MIG that I used to actually build the car in the first place I've gone and burnt the transformer out on it, so I can't use that. So I'll do a little test weld on something else first, and then I'll try and get this welded back on. So it's cooled down now. Wire brushed it off, so I'm just going to put a bit of paint on it. And what I actually use is this stuff. So it's like a jowl paint, synthetic matte black. Sets really, really well though. So I'm going to paint it up with this. Okay, job done, all painted up. That paint's so thick, it's brilliant, it just covers anything. And to be honest, it's near a Spitfire diff, so it's going to be covered in oil in 10 seconds anyway. But if you have a look under here, I'll crawl under. So there we go. Ugly weld, but it'll do. And then what I'm going to do next, I'll just let that sort of dry out overnight. And then I'll just put the bushes back on, and that's it. So only other thing I need to do while the exhaust is off, I noticed I thought it was like a tappet noise at first after the last race, but it seemed to run fine, but I was a little bit concerned because of almost like a clicking noise. But I've actually found on here, it's just blown the exhaust gasket, so it's just leaking out of there. So it's actually like a little hiss every time number 3 goes. So what I'm gonna have to do, exhaust is already off from that point onwards, so I'll just whip the manifold off, stick a new gasket in there, and we'll be ready to go for last race of the season at Silverstone. So I'll see you there.